Hey guys, so in this video, we're going to go over a couple basic concepts. We're going to go and understand what Agony is, how to get it, and then why the heck it's important, and how much you actually need, and to get you into Tier 2 fractals and up as quickly as possible. So the very first thing we're going to need to understand is what the heck Agony is, and how much of it do you need. So the first thing you can do is look at the portal. Don't pay attention to that 23 hours. But you can look at the portal right here, and then the Tier 1 Initiate on 25, it says suggested Agony resistance is 17. And right here, this is very important, the suggested part. This is not actually what you need, but is just what they suggest. Because how Agony works is like poison or dunking yourself in acid. You're going to take a very huge hit of acid directly to your character's face. As soon as you go through and you get a tick of agony from either a mechanic within the fractal or from the boss itself, which different mechanics and different one of these fractals will go through and actually go through and make your character get hit with that. So let's take a look at how much is needed to go through and move up the tiers. So we have Sunquat Peak at level 25, which the suggested agony resistance is 17. Tier 2 is 61, up in the top right corner of these. Tier 3 for 75 is 106, and Tier 4 is 151. And that's the required agony for each one of these. Not required, but suggested. And we're going to go over what that suggested actually is. So I'm going to go through and drag over this page of agony resistance right here on the Guild Wars 2 wiki. And it's a health loss at per tick per the difficulty scale. So if you do remember on Guild Wars right here, it says 25, and then we have 17 agony resistance. So if you take a look at this page right here, even if you have 0 agony resistance, when you get hit with it, you're only going to get provided with 10% health loss per tick. So it's actually not even required for tier 1s to even have any agony resistance at all. But as it scales up, like level 100, if you walk into the fractal, you're going to immediately die because you're going to be hit for 180%. So an easy way to check your agony resistance is once you're into the fractal area, all you're going to have to do is walk over to this guy right here, Chronicle Mistwalker. This little circle right here will go through and tell you how much damage you're actually going to be taking within the fractal. So as you can see, we're getting a pulse of agony, and I'm not taking much damage at all because I have upwards of 150 agony resistance for tier 4 fractals. But if I were to take all of my armor off, which I'll do right now, you're going to see the difference. So now we've gone all the way down to 0 agony resistance, and up here it says in suggested agony resistance 17. So we're only going to lose 10% of our health per tick based off what this says on the wiki. So as you can see, the ticks are actually really quick, but the good part about agony resistance is, and the agony ticks, is it's not going to keep ticking you while you're in the fractal. It's only going to tick you during certain mechanics. So you can actually live with a certain amount of agony resistance off within fractals. So the next part of this, we're going to talk about how much you actually need to get into Tier 2s and how much is realistically needed to go through and actually live within Tier 2s, Tier 3s, and Tier 4s. So based off the agony over here on the wiki page, we can see at level 50, if you have 60 agony resistance right here on the scale, you're only going to take 2% of your health loss per tick at that difficulty scale. So realistically, you're not going to be hit with multiple pulses all the time. So you probably can take up to about 26% of your damage in a regular hit. So at that rate, you'd actually be able to survive with roughly 40 agony in the highest of the tier 2 fractals, which require 61 agony. Actually be roughly about 41 with that 20 rule, but you can use just that 20 rule of if you're 20 below, you're going to take 25% damage. So at 75, you're going to need roughly 86. And at 100, you're going to need roughly 131. And that's going to be taking 26% of your health per tick. So if you have 10,000 damage, you're going to take 2,500 in a hit every single time you tick. But that's okay because the hits aren't going to be that long, like I said. And if you have a good team, you're going to be able to go through and survive either way. Because most of the time in the beginning, people are very friendly. And towards the higher tiers is when people are going to be a bit more pushy and requiring you to do this at a quicker pace. So now that we essentially understand how much agony you need and when, how are we going to go get that to get us at least up to tier 2s? So within the fractal area, we can actually go through and locate a merchant that will sell us ascended rings. Now we're just going to come over here to the right and we're going to talk to this merchant right here, or it's the other one right here. I think it's this one actually. So over here, they sell ascended rings in the top slot for the the BUY and then hyphen 2046 merchant, which is this little kitty golem right here. So they sell the rings for what's called pristine fractal relics, And these guys you can get from the daily recommended fractals. Now, if you do tier 1, since you don't need any agony resistance for that, you will get 4 a day, 1 per each chest for the dailies, and then 1 for the recommended. So you'll be able to get 1 ascended ring every about 2.3 days, give or take. So in roughly 5 days, if you do fractals every day, which isn't that hard, you'll be able to get 2 of these ascended rings. And the reason why we need ascended rings is, if you can see on the top of these ascended rings, it says unused infusion slot. I don't think I can get over it with my mouse, but it actually does say unused infusion slot in the very top. And what that infusion slot is for is called agony resistance. So if we go over to the Black Lion Trading Company, we go to Trading Post, you can actually type in agony resistance, if I know how to spell, Agony. There we go. Agony resistance. And then you can find agony infusions right here at pretty cheap prices. The best ones to do are roughly the +9 ones, and it will only cost you roughly 4 or 5 times 4, which is roughly 20 gold to get 4 of these on your infused rings here. But what we're going to do after we actually get that infused ring after a couple days is you're going to want to attune it. Now, what that does on your rings is it provides you an extra slot, because you can only put in 1 of the agony infusions into the ring without attuning it or infusing it. But we're not going to worry about infusing it, we're only going to worry about attuning it right now. So for attuning it, all we're going to need is that ring that you purchased from the kitty golem. You're going to need 1 agonized essence. If we look in the wiki right here, you buy it from the Infuse 5959 golem right over here. So if we're going to go through and come here, we can go see that golem, which should be right here. And this is where we can buy the agonized essence from. Let's just scroll through these, and it looks like it's right here, 1 off from the bottom under mastery items. The next one we're going to need is a Philosopher's Stone. You can find this at the Mystic Forge in Lion's Arch from Mayani at the Traders Forum. If you look at this little picture right here from Lion's Arch, it will be right here on this waypoint, right upwards from the Traders Forum. Currently, the Halloween event is going on for October of 2022, so it will be right at the Cauldron under Mayani. So I'm just going to quickly show you guys how this is done. I have my ring that I purchased with the 10 pristine fractal relics. We have the +1 agony infusion, the agonized essence, and then we're going to talk to Mayani right here at the Trading Forum waypoint, and we're going to buy 10 Philosopher's Stones with 1 Spirit Shard. You get Spirit Shards by either using a Tome of Knowledge or leveling up once you're past level 80. There are some other ways to get it, but I'm not going to go into those right now. So after that, we're going to take this right here to the Mystic Forge, and we're going to go through and put those in. I actually do have a lot right here, so I'm going to go and grab the one that I have. You can actually, I think you can just drag it from your inventory as well. Looks like you can't. So you take the Agonized Essence, the Philosopher's Stone, one of the generic rings, and you're going to take an Agony Infusion, and then you can infuse this ring right here after you use the Forged. Now it's actually attuned, and if you look at it, it will say 2 unused infusion slots. So it's got the top one and the bottom one. Now what we can do is put 2 of those +9 Agony Infusions on 1 ring. If you are to go through and put an Agony infusion on a ring before you infuse it, you are going to need to take it off. Otherwise, you're going to go through and actually break that other infusion. So let me show you how to do that right now. So back in the fractal area for the Infuse 5959 Golem, what you're going to want to do is go down to the mastery items right here where you found the Agonized Essence, and you're going to want to buy an Infusion and Extraction device. This is only needed if you put on an Agony Infusion before you've gone through and attuned it. So you just purchase this right here with 24 copper or 24 silver, and then you're just going to want to double click on it and you drag the ring into it. This one doesn't have an infusion on it, but if you were to have an infusion on it, like let's just say one of my items over here, I think I'll just take one off, and then we're going to unequip that. Clearly I forgot to put my shirt back on there. There we go, re-equip that. And then it will extract the item, and it just costs 24 silver to do that, and you can just put it right back on, whatever you'd like, without going through and it costing anything. So I'm using the +10s because I just find it a lot easier for me, but that's for tier 4s. +9s are much cheaper, and that's the route that I would recommend. So once you have the 2 attuned rings and you put 2 +9 Agony Infusions on it, you're going to want to go to Dessa's Alchemist right here, and then you're going to talk to him, and then you can buy discounted Anguish Tears of Alba, which is bought with fractal relics and then 4 coins. For an hour, this will go through and give you 10 agony resistance, which will go through and increase our regular 36 agony resistance we have from the 4 +9s on our rings to 46. And if we remember with the 20 Agony resistance for the every levels, so if we go through and it requires 60, we just need to be within a 20 range of that. We will actually be within that range because it only needs 61 for tier 2. So under here you can see this, and if we're at 46, we're in that, and we're probably going to take 18% damage, but that's going to be perfectly fine to go through and leave you to be in tier 2s. And the important part to getting into tier 2s as quickly as possible is because when you're doing tier 2s, you're going to be getting all of the tier 2 chests and the tier 1 chests. So you'll be receiving 6 daily chests instead of just 3. And then what you can do from there on is move up to rank 4, where you'll be receiving tier 4s, all 3 of those. 3 of these, so you're receiving 6, and then you're going to be receiving 9, and then you're going to be receiving 12 here. So 12 total chests just for doing the dailies, and then you'll have better drops from the higher level chests. So in regards to Agony, that should go through and give you a base understanding of what it does, how it works, and the amount that you need, and the amount that you need to get into tier 2s as quickly as possible. I'm not going to go into how to get into tier 3s or tier 4s because I'm going to save that for another video because it's going to require actually understanding how to craft ascended gear and then get other ascended items that are much harder than getting the ones directly from the Infusion agent. But that should be that for now. If you did find this helpful, please like and subscribe because it helps me with the YouTube algorithm and makes it to where more people can find my videos so they can go through and like them and receive help as well. All right, see you in the next video.